Well, welcome everyone, all the community, Great Freedom community, and the new yoga folks that have come to check this out. Candace and Heather have come up from California, where the Great Freedom Retreat Center is. And how Great Freedom came to Missoula is Heather and I grew up together in Buffalo, New York. And we had been on a big path of searching for a long time and just trying to really just, find basic ease, comfort, and happiness in life. And had explored many different things, many different paths, many different ways. And Heather came in contact with Candance in California. And there was something different. There was just some difference in this teaching. And so she told me about it, and I flew to California and got to spend a day with Candance asking questions. And it was just so profound. My first experience was so profound. And so I told Cheyenne about it, and Cheyenne came to California with me. And we decided that this is something that would be really useful for people in Missoula. It was making such a profound change in our life that we really wanted to share it with anybody who was interested. So we started a Great Freedom community here in Missoula 2 years ago. And it's grown. We offer teachings all year long, all different types of teachings. And it's just, we have weekly meetings and we have retreats, and it's just been really fantastic, really, really fantastic. So Candace, who is the founder of Great Freedom, and Heather, who travels with Candace, is a Great Freedom teacher and administrator, comes to visit and offers teachings about 4 times a year in Missoula. And we feel really lucky because the other places that Candace visits are India and Boulder, Colorado. So coming to Missoula is it's pretty exceptional, and we're really grateful. So thank you so much, and Candace O'Denver.
Thank you, Mia. Thanks so much for joining me here tonight. What I have to share with you is it's just really something so simple. It's something so extraordinarily simple, so direct, so immediate, so naturally present, so unerringly accessible for everyone that it can't be missed. But because it is so simple, sometimes it is missed. And what I want to talk about tonight, and I'll address it in a very simple way, is the basic space of mind, the basic space of our own mind, and what we currently know about that, and what we can know about that, and what the benefits are of realizing more about that. So most of the time, especially in our culture, but really now quite prevalent throughout the world, is that we as human beings take ourselves to be our thoughts, our emotions, and our experiences. We establish a sense of an identity of who we think we are based on what we're thinking, what our emotions are, and what our experiences are. And if someone asks what our mind is, we'll probably refer to those things. Now, although those are all included and contained within the mind, they're fleeting aspects of the mind and are contained within a basic space that is always entirely at ease and at rest. And so if all we take ourselves to be as our identity are our thoughts about ourselves and others, our emotions and the accumulation of both of those things during our lives, our accumulation of thinking, our accumulation of emotions, and our experiences, then we have a very limited knowledge of ourselves. And so what I'm talking about tonight is something that is known to humankind and has been known throughout all of human history. Yet very few people have ever really decisively experienced this basic space of mind. And the only reason that people haven't experienced decisively the basic space of mind in a direct way is that the appropriate teachings have not been accessible until very recently. So throughout all of the history of humankind, there have been pinnacle teachings about the basic space of mind and how to access it and live from it permanently 24/7. So it isn't a philosophy where there's something that's described as a possibility. The teaching itself delivers the direct experience of the basic space of mind. It isn't just talking about some kind of phenomenon that's a possibility. And I cannot overemphasize the distinction between the two. There are many, many, many books we can read that give us a glimpse, a possibility of theoretical or intellectual speculation about our true nature. But there are very, very few teachings that directly introduce us to the experience of the basic space of our own mind and then show us how to grow familiar with that in a way where it's evident 24/7. So that's what the Great Freedom teaching is. It's a direct introduction to the basic space of one's own mind, and a teaching that shows how to grow completely familiar with that basic space of mind. So, basic space of mind, what is that? It sounds so abstract, really. It's a bunch of words. But what is the direct experience of the basic space of mind? The direct experience of the basic space of mind by which everything is known, including our own natural presence, is awareness. Without awareness, which is inseparable from the basic space of mind, just like the color blue is inseparable from the sky, we would have no knowledge of anything. Without awareness, we wouldn't be aware of ourselves. So awareness is the constant in every single perception. In every thought, every emotion, every experience, awareness is the constant. There is not one single perception that occurs separated out from awareness. There is not one single perception that exists elsewhere other than in awareness. So if we're thinking that all of our perceptions are what we are, with no knowledge that in each of these perceptions their only source, origin, foundation, and substance is awareness, then we only know part about what the perception is, and we only know a little bit about what our capacities in life are, because we will spend our entire life chasing after perceptions in order to establish our identity. The one way we could look at perceptions is we could consider them as the dynamic energy of awareness, or the dynamic energy of mind. So thoughts, emotions, experiences, all of those we could call perceptions or points of view, are the dynamic energy of the basic space of mind, and known only through this awareness that is inseparable from the basic space of mind. When we get acquainted with awareness, which is just simply our awareness of the natural presence of everything, then we become more and more familiar with the essence of what we are, with the essence of every single perception. Sometimes when people come to a teaching like this for the first time, there may be something that is experienced, just a falling away of all thoughts and emotions, like whatever you were thinking when you came in here tonight, or whatever you'd been thinking about all day, or ruminating about the past or projecting into the future. Sometimes it just all falls away, and there's only what's right here, the natural presence that is so totally obvious and completely clear, pristine, immaculate, with nothing going on. That's what awareness is. That's all it is. And in order for that to be permanent and obvious 24/7, that can come about in two ways. One, we can grow familiar with it through just allowing that ease of awareness to be more predominant than all the perceptions we're accustomed to busying ourselves with. Or if we don't even want to do that, we can just expose ourselves to more and more teachings like this. There are people who come who never rest naturally as awareness or allow the ease of their own awareness. They just come and bask in the immediacy of awareness in the rooms of the teaching, and over time it just becomes more and more obvious. So whatever way is your preference is all right by me. We learn who we are through a process of training. We train ourselves to be who we are. And we have complete control over that. There's no one else who has control over who we are. Our identity, who we take ourselves to be, it's completely up to us, even though there may have been many other influences and experiences. It's up to us whether we adopt those or not, whether we adopt those influences. So when we adopt a lot of influences, a lot of different points of view, a lot of different perceptions, and take those to be our identity, then we spend our whole life believing that that's what we are. But if we just rest for a brief moment as the essence of the basic space of mind, in that rest, that complete ease of awareness, we can see that when the next perception arises, in the direct encounter with that perception vanishes naturally without a trace. There's nothing that need be done about it. It's free in its own place. We don't have to get rid of any of our thinking or emotions. We couldn't hold on to any of them even if we tried. Each one vanishes naturally, like the flight path of a bird in the sky, or like a line drawn in water. There's nothing that needs to be done about those occurrences. They are spontaneously occurring and naturally occurring. They are at ease in and of themselves. They vanish in and of themselves. And just so with all of our thoughts, emotions, and experiences, no matter how much we might try to hold on to any of them, we can't. Have you ever tried to do that? Hold on to just your good thoughts? Have you ever been able to do that? Or even your bad thoughts? But how about getting rid of the bad thoughts? Have you ever tried to get rid of the negative thoughts? Get rid of the negative ones, only have the positive ones. Well, when we take ourselves to be someone who's trying to cultivate just positive thoughts and get rid of negative ones, we spend our whole life like a machine, a sorting machine. We're constantly categorizing and sorting all of our perceptions. These are good, these are bad, these don't mean anything. And we're always feeling like we're not quite right. There's something wrong here. There's something wrong with me because I still have negative thoughts. I still have negative emotions, and I have way more than I'm telling anyone about. You know? If only people knew how many I really had then. Well, see, this is true for all of us, and there's a very simple reason for that. All of these perceptions that occur, they're entirely spontaneous. They're circumstantial. They have only to do with the dynamic energy of our own awareness in the course of our lives. But all of these perceptions, whether we describe them as negative, whether we describe them as positive, or whether we describe them as neutral, they're absolutely equal in being awareness. There's no description whatsoever that is unequal to any other. They're all an expanse, a single expanse of equalness and evenness, a single expanse of awareness. So all of these things that we try to be, like wise, compassionate, supremely intelligent, everything else, all of these things we try to be through cultivating good thoughts and actions. The wisdom, the compassion, the supreme intelligence are naturally occurring and inseparable from awareness, but they can only be tapped into if we get to know that basic space of awareness, the basic space of mind. If we want to cultivate compassion, that's well and good, but we'll be doing that our entire life. Our entire life will be taken up with just lots of doing, of trying to affect a better and more accomplished person, when all the while the already accomplished awareness, the ease of our own being, that is primordial wisdom, that is an intelligence that is beyond all learning, and that is supremely compassionate, is resting as every single bit of our being. We can never be separated from it, but we don't even know it's there as long as we're trying to fix ourselves. So, you know, we all live in America, so we've read lots of self-help books. And everyone here in this room is mature. I think Maya's the youngest one here, but Maya's mature too. And you know, just think about the number of books you've read about making yourself into a better person. How many people have read more than 10 books about making themselves into a better person? You know, and maybe more than 50 books. But whenever there's the latest book that comes out, oh, have you heard about such and such? Then everyone's making a beeline for the bookstore, or Googling it, or ordering it from Amazon, or whatever the case may be. Pirating excerpts from it and emailing it out to all your friends, or however you come in contact with it. But the upshot of all of these is the same. There's great hope that the book is really going to be the final glory. This is going to be it. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to learn how to really be free, how to be a good person, how to be happy. And then I'll be happy from now on. And so the book is read, and for a while there's kind of an elation in reading the book, and then after, and oh, this is really working, and then pretty soon it's the same old thing again. Or, you know, there might be a little nugget in there, but it fades from memory after a while. Positive affirmations, or whatever the case might be. So you see, no matter what we attempt to fix ourselves, it isn't going to work because we don't need to be fixed. You see, something that does not need to be fixed, that is essentially already all good, the more we try to fix it, the more frustrated we're going to be. So, you know, especially in the U.S. here, we learn that we have to work very, very hard to get anything good. So when we hear something like, well, the essence of everything, the essence of all our thoughts, it really is awareness. It's pristine awareness that is already free in and of itself, no matter what thought or perception is occurring. When we hear that all thoughts and emotions and experiences are really equal in their essence as awareness, and all we have to do is enjoy the ease of that awareness in order to be supremely wise in every situation and know what to do and how to act, that we don't have to live a life based on the descriptions of words. For some of us, it just sounds too easy. A good American can't do anything that's that easy. Nothing great could come from something so easy. But yet, there have been people throughout human history, not just hundreds of thousands of people, but millions of people who have found their own timeless freedom through the simple process of growing familiar with their own awareness, and have come into the full fruition of super complete wisdom and compassion. So you see, what's already present, what's already accomplished, does not need to be efforted for. There are no causes leading to its effect because it is uncaused. It's not an effect of anything else. It's already completely present, completely wide open and spacious, not even bounded in any way, even by anything like a skin line or some compact person. A vast expanse of awareness like infinite space. And all of the appearances they're just like a rainbow in the sky. You know, both the rainbow and the sky are pure space. If we try to grab onto the rainbow, it's only pure space. If we try to grab onto the sky, it's pure space. Awareness has never been tied up in any knots. It is pure space. So there aren't any knots to get rid of. All perceptions are equal. The perception of there being somebody like an I, a me, or a mine, a personal identity, is equal to any other perception. There isn't a personal identity that is a storehouse or container or hard drive of perceptions. It's only awareness that is inclusive of all perceptions, including the perception of an I. So if we want to know all about this I person that we take ourselves to be, the best way to do that is to grow completely familiar with awareness. Awareness and I are synonymous. There's no I to get rid of. As long as we're involved in any kind of teaching where there is the assumption of an I or an ego who is identified or fixated with something, we'll be ping-ponging all of our lives, most likely back and forth between that, trying to get rid of this I or get it calmed down so it isn't fixating and identifying. But all there is awareness. There really is only awareness. And awareness includes and contains all these perceptions, no matter what they are. Awareness is completely at ease in all cases. It's already at ease. Resting as awareness betters everything. When we just get familiar with familiar with our own awareness, everything becomes better. No matter what it is we're doing right now, no matter what we love, we'll love it more. And if there's anything we'll hate it less. we'll see it in proper perspective. Yoga becomes easier. When yoga originated, it was inseparable from these kinds of practices of resting as awareness. Yoga was never taught just as a physical discipline. It was inseparable from resting naturally. I've had so many people who are yoga practitioners come to meetings, especially in India, because I teach in Rishikesh, and I'm often there for months at a time, and it's yoga capital of the world. So there are many yoga practitioners who come there, but all of them who come to the teaching say, oh, it's so much easier to do yoga now. It's so much easier. Everything about us is free-flowing and so totally natural, so completely natural. Our natural being that is completely uncontrived, like wide open space, is never anywhere other than right here. And all we need to do is recognize that, and recognize it again and again and again, until we grow completely familiar with it. It's the meditation without meditation. It's the meditation that from the very beginning makes meditation pervasive of all of life. So why bother, why bother with awareness? Is anyone wondering that? Not anyone in this room. There are many things that we face in our lives, and there are many more things that people in this room will face, many very serious things, many very unexpected things, things that you never imagined would happen. And when you give yourself the gift of freedom and immediate perception, of being totally free as the awareness that is the root of every perception, then no matter what you're faced with, you're free in the perception of that, no matter what you're faced with. So in our lives, we're faced with many unexpected things, and all of us will be faced with death. Is there anyone here who doesn't plan to die? And so when we give ourselves the gift of freedom and immediate perception, freedom in all perceptions, then we can be completely at ease and relaxed no matter what comes up. If we face serious illness in ourselves or someone else, when we face our own death, then we can be at ease with that. When we are faced with a huge onslaught of all kinds of perceptions that maybe we never even imagined having, such as those that come up in serious illness or at the time of death, then we'll be completely prepared. When we die, we have all kinds of perceptions that we never have during our life. Did you know that? We lose our senses one by one, our ability to see or hear or speak or smell or have the sense of touch, but we're still aware, Then our breath stops, but we're still aware. Awareness does not depend on the breath or any of the senses of the body. The breath and all the senses of the body are awareness imbued. There would be no knowledge of any of those things without awareness. So when we grow entirely comfortable with our own awareness, then when we face these perceptions that we can never face while we're living, we're able to be with those in a peaceful way, a much more peaceful way than we could otherwise. And we have lots of other perceptions too, when we face death. Just about simple practical things like, well, I guess I've eaten my last meal, or I've done a lot of eating, but that's in the past for me. Done a lot of doing, but that's in the past for me. No more rent, no more mortgage payments, no more groceries to buy. That retirement account, well, won't be needing it now. So you see, this is straight talk, really straight talk, These are all the things that most people really don't want to talk about, because we really haven't come up with a way as human beings to talk about them and to support each other in a way that's nurturing, that can guarantee us freedom in our encounter with them. So it's really important. We're going to be having a 2-day teaching tomorrow and the next day on handling serious illness and death in a very practical way, just how to be with our friends, how to be with ourselves when we face something in ourselves, and most of us will, if we haven't already. How to be with ourselves when we're dying, how to support others when they're dying. How many have ever heard the word bliss? Mm-hmm. And how many have experienced bliss? Bliss? Bliss experiencers? Supreme bliss is freedom in all perceptions. That's all bliss is. That's what permanent bliss is. Bliss is not some kind of a state where we check out from everything that's going on. Bliss is knowing that we're free in all perceptions, no matter what comes up. That's what bliss is. Pervasive bliss, unremitting bliss. It's bliss that doesn't turn on and off. It's 24/7, not only when we're awake, but at night too. So I come up here about every 3 months and share this. Now, see, I know absolutely for certain what brings happiness in human life. And I've seen it come about for so many people after 25 years of teaching. And I'm more and more aware the older I get that at some point, if humankind does continue to survive, that this way of being will be predominant. It'll be very prevalent. People won't think the same way they do today. It just won't be the case. Humankind can't go on and continue to think the way it does, because the thinking is so polarized that everything is fractured. We can't take care of ourselves, we can't take care of each other, and we can't take care of planet Earth. So when we face ourselves as we really are, then we come into a full sense of our own power to really transform not only ourselves but the world in a very direct way. That's the critical juncture we're at as human beings. But we face each of us face it in ourselves. We face it in ourselves, and when we have the decisive experience of our own freedom that is completely unadulterated, completely uncontrived, completely pure, like wide open space, then we tap so directly into our most magnificent strengths and gifts and talents just through growing familiar with our own awareness. Then we really see what's possible for everyone. Then, with real authority and conviction, we can contribute to all of humanity. Does anyone have a question they'd like to ask or a comment they'd like to make? I really like to hear the questions you don't want to ask.
It sounds kind of like a wait or a walking meditation. Thinking of transcendental meditation and inviting the mantra, and there's the TM, there's a lot of like opening up to bliss.
Mm-hmm.
I understood it when I was a student a while ago. So I'm thinking of that as you're talking. So I'm kind of wondering about if there's a connection. Where some of this has come out of.
No, not at all. That movement is based on a cause leading to an effect, doing something that will lead to an effect. Whereas this is just familiarity with one's own awareness, plain and simple. The ultimate mantra is our own awareness. The ultimate ritual is the natural presence of our own awareness. The ultimate meditation is just to bask in the immediacy of our own awareness, but without any frame of reference for any kind of result like bliss. The bliss is naturally occurring just in growing familiar with awareness.
I remember, being given a mantra, and then the way I was taught was to invite it, not to try to make it come, not to try to make it happen, just to be open to it. And the mantra was like sort of a vehicle to open up to the bliss or whatever the thoughts were, and not to make the thoughts do anything in particular, whether they were positive or negative, just to be with them. So I guess that's in part what
How you're relating to it. Uh-huh. The word mantra means that which soothes the mind, and we don't really use any Sanskrit words or Tibetan or Pali or Chinese, or we use the vernacular, the common vernacular of all people, a universal language, just so everyone everywhere can understand it. I feel that's extraordinarily important. Many of the practices grew up in a world where there was no communication between different cultures, and little or no communication, and little or no ability to transport oneself to visit other cultures. But today, we are completely unified throughout the world. We're easily able to transport ourselves. We're easily able to communicate with each other all over the globe. So we really are a global human family, a global human culture. And we will see ourselves more and more as that. And as we do, rather than there being so many different practices and ways of looking at things that are all really culturally based, there'll just be a way that humankind looks at itself. And it's very simple. It's really very simple. We have a choice. The most important choice we can make in every single perception is to either allow the ease of our own awareness or to take the perception to be something that has an independent nature, an independent origin in its own right. So for not only for each individual, but for all of humankind, this is the choice at this point. It has to be something totally easy and direct that any human being can understand. Anything we want to enjoy, we can go ahead and enjoy that. If we have all kinds of practices we enjoy, they become more enjoyable when we realize that their only origin is awareness, that there would be no practice without awareness. There would be no anything without awareness. Awareness is the constant, absolutely the constant. Oh, good. I like it.
context of kind of origin of this thinking, or of what you're saying tonight, what is where you talk about sort of a blending of traditions, I guess is what I hear. And so where did that come from? I mean, where were you taught by someone, or how did you come about to this point?
Well, for me, it came about spontaneously. I was raised as a Catholic, and I had very little exposure to other religions. I knew something about them, but very little. I'd never been to a Tibetan Lama or a Buddhist teacher, a guru, or anyone like that. I'd never heard any kind of teaching on non-duality. When I was a young woman in my early 30s, I faced a very critical time in my life where there was a great deal of upset and trauma and unexpected occurrences. And I felt totally at a loss as to what to do in the situation, and it kept getting worse. My thoughts and emotions didn't offer me any relief. I had always assumed there was someone in here who was in charge, who could kind of calm things down when the going got rough, calm down all the thoughts and emotions, but I couldn't find that control mechanism no matter where I looked, and the thoughts and emotions were just proliferating randomly and erratically. So I got to a point where I also felt very hopeless and powerless. I just didn't know what to do, and I felt terrified. I really felt terrified because I didn't know how this could lead to anything good. I could only see that it would lead to death or insanity or something like that. And in the midst of that, when I got into that state of feeling terribly hopeless and powerless and desperate, I suddenly realized that all of these perceptions had the same underlying basis, no matter what they were. And that the underlying basis of every perception, no matter what it is complete relief. Just complete relief. And so I began to just allow that relief to be the case in each perception, not separating out the perception, relief here, perception over here, but just that this relief was the radical core of every single perception, the essence of every perception, not just the negative ones, but all the good ones too. And because I was in such a desperate circumstance, I was very focused on it. Very, very focused on it. And after night and day, I wasn't sleeping much. And so after 10 days, it was just, it just became totally obvious all the time. Totally obvious. And it was so obvious that there wasn't anything new. I just found out who I had always been. There was nothing new in it at all for me. But then later, as I looked into more practices that had led to a similar type of realization, I found that the pinnacle teachings of humankind taught exactly the same thing, to just rest naturally for short moments, repeated many times, until this awareness, this state of total relief becomes permanent and obvious at all times. The other thing for me when I discovered this relief that is the essence of my being is that at the same time that I was discovering this, I felt a warmth of incredible compassion arise in me. Just a tangible warmth of niceness where I didn't have to try to be nice. That I discovered within myself a warmth that pervaded everything, pervaded all beings, pervaded everything. and that this too was naturally occurring and inseparable from the relief that I'd found. So what's important about that is that the teachings that have really delivered the decisive experience to many, many, many people that are unfailing in doing so, are unfailing in doing so because it's natural and easy for people to come into the full experience of awareness through those teachings. And it's natural and easy because it's naturally occurring. You see, it's already present. So what happened to me is just ordinary, really. It's ordinary. These kinds of teachings work because it is so ordinary. It's not a difficult process. It's a direct introduction to the basic space of your own mind. And it's one that you never fall back from. So with so many things, we go to a talk or we go to a teaching or we read a book and we feel good for a while, but then we fall back. We feel we've fallen back from that. But with these kinds of teachings, there is no falling back. There's just greater and greater increase of awareness. Marilee?
Leads right into my question. After 25 years of learning and awareness, does your awareness just keep increasing each day, each week?
Well, awareness doesn't really increase or decrease. It doesn't have any fluctuation, but the human experience is just one of greater and greater awareness, just more and more blazing awareness, no matter what comes up. And just also wisdom. What wisdom is really insight. Insight into what's really going on, what's really so in the world. And many other things too, the ability to really see not only what's going on now, but what's going to happen down the road. So, yeah. But these are natural propensities in human beings. It isn't anything unusual. It's just up to us whether we want to spend our life entertaining ourselves with all our perceptions or really getting to know the essence of our being. Awareness is the wish-fulfilling gem. So however we want, it's like a treasury of precious jewels. However we want to spend our life, we can. The more familiar we are with our own awareness, the more enjoyable our life is. Whether we're dancing and having a good time or on our deathbed. So, that's... When all perceptions are equal, all perceptions are equal. Dancing and having a good time, dying, being really sick, whatever it is, all perceptions are equal. But you see, we can't ever think our way into that. We can't think our way into all perceptions being equal. We can only get familiar with our own awareness in which all perceptions are equal. We don't have to do anything about the perceptions. We don't have to do any thinking or philosophizing or anything else. Wax?
When you were having a hard time and you came to the realization that all perceptions had the same basis, how did you do that? How did you come to that?
occurred.
And what does it mean to stay focused on that for 10 days?
What does it mean? Just what the Great Freedom Teaching states again and again for short moments, repeated many times. Enjoy the ease of awareness. Rest naturally is the wide open space of awareness, that complete relief in which everything is equal. That's it. It's so easy. I did not at the time have energy to do anything else. You know, my chanting was more like wailing tears, and and my ritual nectar was a cup of coffee at Denny's. There are no special circumstances required. If there were, timeless awareness would be a lie. It'd be a lie. You know, what is always free is always free. It doesn't require any special circumstances or clothes or anything else.
Well, I feel like I'm always the one who's saying it's simple, but it's not easy. And I don't know if that's true anymore, that it's not easy. And I was listening to your talk, one of your talks, and you used the word perseverance. Mm-hmm. Do you remember using that word?
Oh, sure.
And I thought, oh, well, that sounds like effort to me. And then it kind of I came back to my own experience of this teaching, and it feels like there is a perseverance that is rock solid.
There is a perseverance that's rock solid, and it's unfailing. It's really unfailing.
And it's in spite of what I used to call the personality or the ego is doing. And like today, I had this, very funny day where in the old days, I wouldn't have liked myself at all. Not at all. And I can't say it was comfortable, some of the things that the affects during the day weren't comfortable. There was a lot of fear there. But it does feel like the dedication to awareness, or the knowing of oneself as awareness, that does just continue to deepen. And I guess I'd call that compassion.
That is tremendous compassion for yourself. The thing about perceptions is that they are completely unpredictable. Have you ever noticed that? Our thoughts, emotions, and many of our experiences too, they're completely unpredictable. They're also ceaseless and countless. So the perceptions aren't going to stop. They're really not going to stop. They're going to be with us all our life and at our death. So if you're counting on getting into some kind of a state like no self, emptiness, bliss, clarity, that's never going to happen. It might happen for a split second, getting into a state, or it may even happen for a couple of years, but something's going to blow your cover. And it's going to be another annoying perception. But you see, all the perceptions, no matter what they are, they really are timelessly free. They're timelessly free. They're all completely equal. The unpredictability of perceptions means that we don't know what they're going to be. Like one day we have a good day, another day we have a bad day, so to speak. One day our perceptions, they're kind of pleasant, another day they're unpleasant, another day they're a mix of both. And then we have all these sensations going on in our bodies too, and as we get older, we get a lot more sensations. I think I'm the oldest one in the room. Let me tell you, you're going to get a lot more sensations, and they're not going to be good ones. They're going to hurt. And you're going to hurt here, and you're going to hurt there, and pretty soon you're going to hurt everywhere. And so, you know, this is just the way it is. The youthfulness of your body, your limber movements and all of that kind of thing, you're not going to have them forever. So these aren't things that are going to carry you through. And so all of these perceptions, they'll just continue on in an entirely unpredictable and spontaneous way. You will not know from one day to the next what your perceptions are, and you will never be able to control them. I can guarantee you that. However, inclusive in that is total freedom. It's only in thinking that perceptions have to change that there's a prison. If you think any perception has to change, then that's a prison. It's total bondage. In awareness itself, the complete wide open space of total ease, in which all perceptions, no matter what they are completely equal. All perceptions occur in a way that is random and without cause. You know, random without cause and also without effect. And in just resting and enjoying that complete relief and ease and awareness, all of that starts to make sense. And it's okay. Then, you know, we can face really difficult things like everyone here will face. We live a very cushioned existence in America, but as some of you may have noticed, that's been diminishing. And we are living with more threat of terror and things happening that we never dreamt would happen. So there's no way to escape these things. The perceptions that we have, we never know when we'll have a good day or a bad day of perceptions. And if we watch the news, well, now the other day, it was the day that the arrests were made in London. I rarely watch television, but I watched MSNBC for about 12 hours. And I watched everything about what was going on in London, and then the possibility of the jihad perpetrated by Iran and the worldwide apocalypse that the news was saying Iran might be planning to annihilate everyone in the world. And so I watched all these things and the reports of them and then the analysis of them, all the points of view by different people all over the globe about all of these different things going on. And wow. Now there's a meditation worth doing. Just to rest completely, just to allow the openness of awareness to be the container of all those perceptions. Otherwise, it's impossible to watch that kind of thing. It ends up in overwhelm. I don't want to watch this anymore. Get me my hot fudge sundae, get me my martini, get me anything, but get me out of here, out of these perceptions. But there's nothing to be afraid of. And what I'm telling you is very important. If you never see me again, maybe you'll remember what I'm saying someday. Maybe when you're dying, maybe when something happens that is so unexpected that you can't even move, that it's so stunning that it brings you to a complete halt. Maybe then you'll remember what I say. But know that what I say tonight can take you through anything. And sometimes when we're in those, when something happens, something really dramatic and unexpected, there's a complete open space, like a flash of light that occurs. And a lot of times in our culture, it's referred to as shock. But what it is a decisive experience of the basic space of our own mind that is there to support us. If we pathologize it and call it shock or something like that, we can't use it as a support because it'll be something we're trying to get rid of. But like if we hear we're going to die, or we hear we have a serious illness that could lead to death, or we hear about 911, or we hear that missiles are headed here from Iran. If we hear any big news like that, or even about this thing in London, there's a flash of just brilliant awareness, this completely wide open space without anything going on. Because we're always here for ourselves. We really are. But if we've learned all these different ways of describing what's going on with us, then we won't even recognize what's right here, what's of total comfort and ease.
And Candace, when you were watching that TV for 12 hours,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever, and there was still, every feeling was there, every feeling was still.
Oh, you mean a wide range of emotions? Of course. It's bliss is a wide range of emotions. Bliss is complete freedom in the encounter with everything. So it doesn't mean never having any emotions again. Compassion is the pervasiveness of all being directly in touch with everything that's going on, being so clearly present to what's so that nothing is avoided, nothing is ignored, nothing needs to be denied. There's nothing to hide out from. No description has anything as its essence other than awareness. So, all the descriptions, all of the dynamic energy of awareness, it's just a dynamic and wonderful display of awareness itself. And that just becomes more and more obvious. My conclusion at the end of the day after watching all that was that it's a war of words. It's a war of points of view. It's not unlike what goes on within ourselves. We're always engaged, unless we're familiar with awareness, with an internal jihad. We're trying to bomb our bad points of view, create some kind of apocalypse or cataclysm that'll do away with all of those, and we're trying to make it into our idea of what's good. But isn't this the same thing that's going on in the world? And it's only because it's going on within a lot of us that it's occurring in a wider way between people. So it's just points of view. A simple way to look at it is there's awareness, the all-encompassing view, and everything within it, all the dynamic energy are points of view. We can see this in ourselves. We have our awareness in all of the points of view. The point of view of being somebody, the point of view of having all these thoughts, the point of view of having all these emotions, the point of view of being there being lots of people or a world or whatever it might be. And all of that is really wonderful and can be understood very swiftly and thoroughly, but only from the vantage of awareness. It can't really be understood from any point of view, because from any point of view, there's only that point of view in relation to all other points of view. From awareness, there's awareness inclusive of all points of view. So it's possible then to clearly see what's really going on.
One of the things you've talked about is when you're able to have your pure awareness and be in the basic space of mind, and you see a situation in front of you, you'll just have that knowingness or that clarity of what to do, or perhaps do nothing. So I guess my question is, when you were watching the news, did you have the clarity to incorporate like your teaching, adding something new to your teaching like this weekend? Or did you have clarity of what could be done to help some of the world problems that are going on?
The Great Freedom teaching is my contribution in that regard. I travel the world. This is all I do. You know, I don't have another job, so to speak. And because I see this really as a way in which humankind can come to terms with itself. In fact, I see it as the only way humankind can come to terms with itself. So, and the way I look at it is that the worst case scenario is that at least some people, and there are many people now all over the world involved in the Great Freedom teaching, at least some people will grow familiar with their own awareness. And there is a possibility that many people, or all people, will. But at least some people will. And we can see this in the incredible benefit that growing familiar with awareness is to our own life. When we see how beneficial it is to us, then we definitely see how beneficial it can be in the world situation. We become convinced when we see the fruits in our own life. Are there any other questions before we close for the evening?
Well, being here for the first time and hearing about this for the first time tonight is incredibly, well, it makes a lot of sense to me. So does the process of becoming, this awareness that you're talking about, is that just through more teaching, just hearing more about it?
Exactly.
Is that sort of the process of just, like Susie mentioned, some pervasiveness, so some attention.
Yes, just the same way that we learn that we're a bunch of perceptions, we learn that we're our perceptions by exposing ourselves to that. So it's the same with this. When we expose ourselves to the reality of our own awareness, then it just naturally becomes more and more familiar. We have a number of ways of doing that in the Great Freedom teaching. We have a formal teaching that's given either face-to-face or in a teleconference setting. And we have an incredible website, greatfreedom.org. On the left sidebar, you'll see free downloads. There are full-length talks, many of them, that are free downloads that you can download and listen to. they're all MP3 files, so they're very easy to download and use or convert or burn to a CD. Feel free to share them with friends. We have much other information available on our website. We have a community that's available 24/7. So it's not like going to a talk or a teaching and then going home and not having anybody to talk to. We have email and telephone communication worldwide 24/7 for anyone who needs to talk to somebody. And so it's the end of being alone. And it is easy, it really is easy. There are a number of Great Freedom teachers here in the Missoula area, and the Bitterroot, and Hamilton, Mia, and Cheyenne, and Sarva. And Matt is a new Great Freedom teacher. Matt lives in Hamilton, he's in the back row there. And there are many more people than this who are part of the Great Freedom community in this area. Do you live here?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. And you know Sarva already? Huh?
He's a yoga buddy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From Bikram Yoga? Uh-huh. Wow, you all look very fit. I can tell.
But I like the comment about when you were talking about yoga and kind of bringing in more of the, I guess you'd say, the Raha yoga to it, the bigger picture. When I did yoga before, that was more how we studied it. Bikram's is not so much that. It's more the postures and stuff. So it's really makes sense again to that you say, well, yoga would become easier because of this awareness. This way.
Thank you so much for coming tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And I have a few announcements. We have weekly meetings on Tuesday nights at the Missoula Public Library. We will be changing locations in September, and if you write your name down on the email list, I can email you the new location and time. We also, Candance will be here for the next 4 days. She'll be in Florence. And Saturday and Sunday will be a teaching on dying and serious illness. And on Monday and Tuesday, they'll be offered, Candance will be offering a teaching called Pure Space Teaching, which is just really very interrelational and a great opportunity for directly experiencing one's awareness instantaneously. And that will also be in Florence. So you can come 1 day, 2 days, any days you'd like. And you could speak to myself, Sarah, or Cheyenne after, and we'll let you know the details on that.
We have a beautiful retreat setting there.
And
In
there
Florence, it's really lovely.
And there will be carpooling down there also, so you don't have to venture out alone if you don't want to. So thank you so much. It was at Wednesday.
And the Hamilton Carriage House as well.
Wednesday evening, thank you, Cheyenne. Wednesday evening at 7:30 at the Hamilton Carriage House, which is on 4th and Pine. I would say Pine too. From 7:30 to 9, Candance will be speaking.
7:30.
7:30. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Thank you.